Welcome to KeyTech. Please describe this channel if you are interested in today's video. The implementation of chip restrictions was initially aimed at Huawei, but fortunately, the founder of the company, Ren Zhengfei, did not sit still. Instead, he united high-quality domestic semiconductor companies and committed to building a completely independent industrial chain. The actual speed of progress has made European and American countries terrified. It is precisely because of this that the United States has continuously upgraded its chip rules and extended the scope of restrictions to the entire Chinese semiconductor industry. In order to get rid of the monopoly situation as soon as possible, under the leadership of Huawei, domestic companies have continued to increase their de-Americanized supply chains. Brings opportunity. During the restricted 3-year period, Huawei has set an example by insisting on using domestic components. On its core 5G equipment, it has successfully eliminated American components, and its production capacity has dropped from the initial 27% to 1%. What does it mean for Huawei? Huawei has reached an important milestone. The more difficult it is, the more we can move forward. During the 3 years of restriction, Huawei is worthy of the title of Promising China. The breakthrough in 5G technology has successfully helped China to overtake Europe and the United States. At least 2 to 3 years ahead, any country that wants to have a well-established 5G network cannot do without Huawei's technology patents. In order to establish its own advantages in the field of communications, Huawei has also gone smoothly in terms of de-Americanized production capacity. According to news from overseas media, after dismantling the 5G small base station of Huawei's main communications product, through the professional organizations according to the analysis, the proportion of American parts and components is only 1%, which is a proper milestone for Huawei. The advantages of Huawei's 5G small base station are still obvious. It can effectively provide 5G networks for dense urban areas. At the same time, it is very flexible to build and the cost is very low. There are almost no competitors in the market. The dismantling of Huawei's equipment was due to the inability to find a replacement product for the 5G small base station in time, which led to the delay in the dismantling plan. European countries have been highly dependent on Huawei equipment since the 4G era. If they want to forcibly dismantle it, it will take a lot of money, and it is difficult to dismantle it without destroying the original network layout. This has caused in one case, although the United States is still exerting pressure, some European countries intend to resume cooperation with Huawei, and the relevant restrictions are basically invalid. The reason why it is said to be Huawei's milestone can be directly reflected in the data. As early as 2020, a professional organization conducted a comprehensive analysis of Huawei's 5G base stations. After research, it was found that the components made in China, the proportion is 48%, and most of them are core parts, which is also an important factor for Huawei to be able to do a job with ease. After 2 years of hard work, the latest dismantling data shows that the proportion of Chinese components has increased by 7%, reaching a node of 55%, while the proportion of American components has been less than 1%. You must know the original proportion reached 27%. Such an unexpected and reasonable approach is the result of Huawei's unremitting efforts. Huawei's de-Americanize move has accelerated the rise of domestic components. In the past, all Chinese companies would give priority to imported components. Fortunately, the isolation of the United States and its allies to the Chinese market has changed the international cooperation relationship and is highly concentrated. The establishment of an independent supply chain also provides excellent opportunities for domestic suppliers. Huawei has embarked on the road of self-help. At present, the most difficult problem for Huawei lies in the supply of chips. According to the latest statistics, the share of HiSilicon has returned to zero, which shows that the inventory of Kirin chips is really not much. It can be seen from the newly released Mate 50 that it resumes using Qualcomm chips. But even so, the de-Americanized process still cannot be stopped. At present, Huawei's plan is that as long as there are domestic parts that can be replaced, it will not choose European and American parts. The reason why 5G base stations can achieve de-Americanization so quickly is that they basically use low-end chips. Domestic companies can provide OEM, but obviously this is not enough. Although HiSilicon has lost its revenue capability, Huawei has never thought of giving up its support. Ren Zhengfei has promised to provide no less than 20% of total revenue for research and development every year, in order to speed up the solution to the chip supply problem. In addition to combining the domestic high-quality supply chain, Huawei is also pursuing the way of overtaking in curves. It has obtained many technical patents in the fields of stacking technology, superconducting quantum chips, photonic chips, etc., as long as one of the technologies is realized. Commercial use can solve the problem of high-end chip supply. At present, Huawei has started the collection of 5G patent fees. As long as Huawei's technology patents are used, it needs to pay the corresponding authorization fee. Apple, Samsung, Qualcomm and other companies are not spared, which can also bring Huawei a fortune. Substantial income. Huawei's mobile phone has lost its overseas market share under multiple rounds of sanctions, but it has recently made a breakthrough in France. We all know that the Hongmeng ecology of Huawei mobile phones has been sanctioned, and the use of multifunction abroad is equivalent to BRICS, but France Vico is willing to cooperate with Huawei to promote Huawei mobile phones that combine technology in France. The operating system of this mobile phone is definitely not Huawei's exclusive Hongmeng, but the open-source Hongmeng that includes the HMS framework. In addition, Vicon, which has the second largest mobile phone market share in France, will promote it. The French market will become Huawei's largest overseas market after sanctions. A ray of dawn. The model of joint research and development of mobile phones bypasses the sanctions imposed by the United States, but it can indeed expand Huawei's technology abroad. Although this kind of curved development path is a bit helpless, it is indeed a breakthrough from scratch after being cleared. With the blessing of de-Americanize and domestic substitution, it is also well confirmed that relying on the domestic supply chain, we can achieve self-government, and it only took 3 years to make Europe and the United States afraid. As long as you have enough time, anything is possible. What do you think about this?